Hey guys, how's it going? Robert Warshak here, and I know we've been patiently waiting for the announcement of the next Hearthstone expansion. Every time I stream, you guys are like, what do we got? What do we got? What do we got? And today we finally got the Rise of the Shadows. This is giving me the same feeling that old gods gave me. That was a pretty decent expansion. It's got like a little, evil, eerie, sort of spooky. And actually has a pretty cool background in my opinion. They're giving it a cool edge to it. We have 5 villains and they're all trying to, invade Dalaran. So it's pretty cool. So we've got some couple cards to cover, of course, and all of these cards actually seem pretty good, which is surprising because normally when new cards get released, we've got like what we think is going to be good, and then we have what we know is going to be trash. So what we have so far: Arch Villain Reform. We're already looking at one of the villains right here. It's a Warlock card. As we know, each villain is tied to a particular class. So Hagatha, for example, is going to be Shaman. Arch Villain Reform, as we know, is going to be Warlock. So let's look at him. 7 mana, 7/8, Taunt Battlecry. Replace your hand and deck with legendary minions. Very, very powerful. And let's take a look at his animation. Look at this guy. Look at him. Oh my gosh, look at that clean animation. That's exciting stuff right there. We like to see that. Wow. So this ties me immediately. I want to go back to the old Elise, the Trailblazer, which used to be found in Control Warrior, and you had to play the Elise, and she'd give you a map, and then you had to play the map, and then you had to find the monkey, and then the monkey gave you the legendary minions, and it was just like this giant quest because it was, I forgot even what expansion, Adventures of something, and Reno, and woo-doo-doo. But this guy just does it all in one hit. 7 mana, boom. Decks full of legendaries, hands full of legendaries. Keep in mind, no legendary spells. It is just legendary minions, and they are random. So you can it doesn't have to be just Warlock legendaries, obviously. We're going to get all kinds of legendaries. So looking at Warlock and what they're missing, Gul'dan is going bye-bye. Warlock is, its late game is being kind of thrown away. Void Daddy, I'm pretty sure, is leaving. I mean, they're just taking big hits, big hits. The weapon's leaving. Doomguard's getting rotated into Hall of Fame. So Warlock, what end game do they have? We know they have a lot of early game. They have Hellfire and all that kind of stuff to deal with early game minions. But what do they have during the late game? And that's looking really questionable right now. This guy gives Warlocks the ability to go into late game with very high value minions, and even turn 7, like just playing this guy on turn 7, he has Taunt, he's huge statted, and then the rest of the game your minions, most of the time legendary minions are pretty powerful. Granted, there are some pretty shitty ones, but overall, the power level of legendaries more than half the time is pretty high. So I mean, this is just, and then people played for, like, we could see like a new Control Warlock that just runs Reform, and the goal is to just like, build up. I don't know, maybe there's going to be some new Taunt Warlocks. There's going to be, maybe, I doubt there's going to be armor game, but maybe there's some sort of ability for Warlock, to be defensive, but also run this card like the Control Warrior. You build a whole bunch of armor, you win in fatigue, and then you play Reform. So we'll see what Warlock has, but overall, this card is very, very powerful. Like, this card, I mean, we know Elise was good, so this guy has to be good because he does everything Elise does, but better. So, I mean, this is a scary looking card. Plus, as we know, random legendaries. That means our opponent's getting every best legendary in the game. All right, moving to Chef Nomi. This guy's, I'm not sure where this guy fits, but he does a lot of things. So, 7 mana, 6/6 Battlecry. If your deck is empty, summon 6/6 elementals. So the elementals don't do anything, they're just vanilla 6/6s, but he's like Dragon Lady, but instead of having to play spells, you just have to have 0 cards in your deck. But if you have 0 cards in your deck, you normally lose. So let's take a look at this guy's effect. Looks pretty good. That's a lot of stuff, but there's no deck. He's a neutral card, so you can play this guy in all kinds of different decks. We know that Warlock does run out of cards quickly, but if we play Warlock, we're probably playing Reform, and if we're playing Reform, Nomi's going to be turned into some other card. So maybe the key of getting Nomi is you actually play Reform, and you just hope that you have 0 cards in your deck because you're Warlock and you've tapped into all of them, and then you just get randomly generated Nomi. So maybe Nomi is actually not good. You just want to randomly generate him through Reform. So taking a look at the next card, which is really something, I mean, we haven't seen a card like this before. It's Hagatha's Scheme. So schemes now, they power up every turn you have it in your hand. So for originally, you draw this, it's 5 mana, deal 1 damage to all minions, and it upgrades each turn. So your opponent goes, it comes back to you. And as we can see, it upgrades and it'll actually do 2 damage. So the longer this card is in your hand, the more damage it'll do. There's no cap to the amount of damage. So if you have this card on turn 1 and you don't play it till turn like 22, it does 22 damage. 5 mana, 22 damage. Easy game, easy life. Profits, boys. So obviously it has the ability to clear the board for a very cheap mana cost as long as you have it in your hand. You know, it's a really bad kind of late game draw. Like if this is like one of the bottom like 5 cards in your deck, it just is kind of gonna feel bad because you don't have a lot of time for it to like level up. So but most of the time, you know, you're gonna be able to draw this card early. Plus Shaman has ways to draw 5 mana or more spells through some of their smaller minions. It's like 4 mana 3/4, something like that. Draw a 5 mana plus spell. If I'm a good content creator, I should be pulling some of these cards up on the side over here. And if I'm not, Rob, you deserve an F for today. Nobody's gonna watch this video. Also, as we know, like Shaman is in a really weird spot right now. There's no actually good Shaman deck. The only Shaman deck that was good was Shutter Shaman. As we know, we love that deck thoroughly. Man, oh man, I was so sad to see it go. Kappa 1, 2, 3. So like we've seen some elemental shamans and they just kind of suck, and we've seen some control shamans, or like, you know, the big shaman where they summon a bunch of minions and then they give them the ancestral spirit and then they copy them with the spell stone. But no offense, that deck kind of sucks. It's more of just a fun deck than it is a good deck. I mean, there's a reason, you know, HTC, the Winter Championship, we saw like 0 shaman decks, like period. You go on the ladder, you see like 0 shaman decks. It's crazy. You know, you nerf Flame Tongue Totem, all of a sudden all the even shamans are gone. Like you nerfed 1 card and it's just like the deck died. Are you kidding me? So it'll just be like, this is definitely more of a control shaman we're looking at right here with this card. It does 1 damage to all minions. So obviously it's replacing Volcano. That's again another one of those 5 mana AoE that Shaman did have that actually was very, very powerful. So this kind of, you know, is taking the place of Volcano. Besides that, we'll have to see what Shaman brings. The next card we're going to take a look at is Forbidden Words. This is a priest card. As you can see, it has the picture of the priest lady that talks in all the expansions. That shows you all the cards, who's creepy as hell, and all the cinematics. Well, the cinematic for this past expansion and Old Gods. Not gonna lie, the snake she has on her shoulder is kind of cool. But besides that, 0 mana, spend all your mana, destroy a minion with with that much attack or less. So let's take a look at the animation. Wow, we haven't seen an animation like this at all. It's not similar to Shadow Word Pain or Shadow Word Death in any way, sense, shape, form. They really went all above and beyond on this animation. But besides that, priests now have the ability to kill a 4 attack minion. This is going to unleash the priest's full potential. Because as we know, Shadow Word Pain kills 3 or less, Shadow Word Death kills 5 or more, but there's been Twilight Drake who's been safe. Twilight Drake is no longer safe. Forbidden Word sees all. Now, but it's just the ability for this card to be like used like at any range of mana is really powerful. Like you can selectively use all of your mana. You can selectively use, like, let's say you need to, like, you have 10 mana and they have a 4 attack minion or a 3 attack minion. You go ahead and play your 6 mana spell and then you play this for 3 or 4. You know what I mean? You can use this at almost any point in the game to kill whatever minion you want. Just depending on, you know, how big it is, like it's going to just cost you more mana, but you have the flexibility to play it when you want and kill a, like, you know, a very small minion or a very large minion. And I love cards like this. I like cards that can be used at the beginning of the game that are good, and cards that can be used at the late game stages of the game are good, but you have to decide whether you want to save it for later, keep it for the big minions, or do you use it earlier because you're playing against a more aggressive style deck, and, you know, saving it for later doesn't really matter. So cards like this, I like them a lot. I mean, granted, it's going to be pretty annoying because Priest is an annoying class, but like overall, it's the card style that you guys know I like. I always, whenever there's a card like this, I always harp on the fact that it's good, like throughout the game. And it's just that I love styles of cards like this. Moving to the next one, we got Kalgos. Hopefully I said it right. Huge dragon, 10 mana, 4/12, big, thick daddy dragon. What do you got for me? Your first spell each turn costs 0, so it's an ongoing effect. Battle cry, discover a spell. So basically, because he costs 10 mana, when you play this, you can't play another spell that turn, or if, let's say, you don't even have a spell, he discovers a spell. And as we know, mage, they have plenty of spells. They've got Flame Strike, and they've got Flame Strike, and they've got like Blizzard, and then they got like Flame Strike, and then like another big AoE they have is like Flame Strike. So when you Kalecgos, you're most likely going to be playing Arcane Blast because that's what we're gonna get. We're never gonna get Flame Strike. But he's just, I mean, he's a good card overall. I mean, he's just a big, thick dragon. I mean, he's Ysera stats, and he does something every turn. So he's like Ysera, but he's actually not like Ysera at all because he gives you free. He gives you the ability to play a free spell every turn. He doesn't generate shit. I like him. I mean, he's just a big, cool dragon. What's there not to like about Kalecgos? Granted, I don't really know. Like, we'll have to see where, like, you know, Mage is. Obviously, this is looking at more of a control style Dragon Mage is what we're looking at with Kalecgos. If control style Dragon Mage is good, Kalecgos will be played. If there's control Mage is not good because it's losing Frostlich Jaina, and Frostlich Jaina is literally what makes the Mage deck good. You know, it's just going to be a kind of a big flop. So it's going to be, is he going to be as good as the other, you know, big, you know, powerful not bosses, but like villains in the other deck? Like, this guy does not compete with Rafam. I mean, this guy, there's just no way. The Rafam just destroys like this guy. Not actually destroys him, but like in the value aspects, Rafam is crazy good. This guy is good, but he's not Rafam. The next card, Spell Ward Jeweler, 3 mana, 3/4 battle cry. Your hero can't be targeted by spells or hero powers until your next turn. So combo stopper, dying to your opponent. So basically like having Ice Block. Like this is Ice Block for 3 mana in a minion. Or you could play it against the combo deck that says, hey, I know you have your combo in your hand, most likely, probably, I don't know, I'm just guessing. You can't kill me this turn, I need an extra turn. Or you have lethal on board, you know, they have like, you know, all their stuff, and you just need that extra turn. So this can be used offensively or defensively. I think this card is going to be played a lot. Like, when I see a neutral card that says combo activator, give me an extra turn, or a combo stopper, give me an extra turn, and the stats are pretty good. Like a 3 mana 3/4 in stats is just good. Like the stats are good. You play it against an aggro deck. That competes with a lot of stuff. Plus, you're not taking any damage next turn. Like, this card is just good. I may be overplaying it, but when I look at this card, I just put it in every deck. I just throw it in there. Jeweler, get her in there. She's making necklaces for me. Actually, she's putting a gem in a sword. She's making swords for me. But her eyeball's kind of freaking me out, so let's change cards because we already went over her. But seriously, though, she's really good. The forest aids. Dalaran is sending help. The trees speak, just like in Lord of the Rings, the Twin Towers, when the trees fuck up all the trolls at the little towers and they fucking break the dam and all of them die. I'm just kidding. No, seriously, they're dead. We have a new effect here. Twin Spell. So let's cover what the card does, and I'll cover Twin Spell. It's really easy. 8 mana summon, 5/2/2 Treants. That's a lot of Treants for a lot of mana. But it's a lot of Treants. It's 10 damage worth of Treants. As we know, Token Druid, very powerful deck. Thing is, Token Druid's, I don't want to say a fast deck because it really doesn't do a lot in the early game unless you're playing like a minion-centric token deck. When I was, our most recent token deck that we played was more like, you know, Living Mana, Whispering Woods. No, is it Whispering Woods? Or yeah, Whispering Woods. And, you know, Onyxia, and just like cards that summon a bunch of stuff rather than playing like Firefly, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't playing individual small minions like Dire Maul, it was playing like a single card that generated a lot. And then with those cards, it took us towards more the mid to late game because we were able to combo those together with Soul of the Force and Savage Roar. And cards like this, you don't need, like, you just play this one card and it's like having 5 small minions. So what Twin Spell does, it's like having Echo, but it only occurs once. So when you play Forest Aid, you'll get another one in your hand that you can either play that turn, probably not because this costs 8 mana, or you can use it any other time in the game. So you just basically get a copy of the card when you play it, but just once though. So you get basically having one Forest Aid in the deck means you get 2 Forest Aids in the deck. So when you have 2 Forest Aids in the deck, you basically have 4 because each time you play it, you get the extra one that you can use at any other time in the game. It doesn't disappear like Echo at the end of the turn, but again, it only triggers once. So this card has insane value. Like, you play Forest Aid, they go Twisting Nether or Hellfire or Flame Strike or Blizzard, and then the following turn you just play another one. And if they don't have another one, you know, you're just gonna go soul the forest savage, savage roar, soul the forest, or yeah, branch patch. You're just gonna do all kind of stuff. So like, and if you play 2 of these, they have to do 4 board removals. If you're just like Forest 8 on turn 7, Innervate, Forest 8 on turn 8 naturally, Forest 8 on turn 9, Forest 8 on turn N. If they don't have remove for one of those, they're probably just gonna die. So this card, in my opinion, just like, granted, it's a very late game token druid card, but it's really powerful. The fact that you can just, like, you get 2 of them, like having one of them is actually 2 of them, is crazy, because it just forces your opponent to have 2 removals basically back to back. If there's not, like, if your opponent already has minions on the board, then granted it's not as good because they can clear board, hit you in the face. You play another one, they clear board, hit you in the face, or they just hit you in the face, you're dead. But like, if the boards are equal and you're playing this and they're removing, you're just making them have to answer your threats, and eventually they won't have answers. Moving to our next card, the Evil Miscreant. 3 mana 1/5 rogue card combo. Add 2 random lackeys to your hand. So we'll get into what are lackeys in a second, because I actually have to pull this card down and do some editing mojo and have all of them pop up at one time. If I don't do that again, I suck. But let's just look at this guy real quick. He's a combo. He's a 1/5. He's a 3 mana card. I mean, the stats, like having 5 health for 3 mana is just pretty good. If you bring the 5 down to like a 2 and you bring the 1 up to like a 3, he's just like a 3 mana 3/3. But instead of having more attack, he has less. So like, if you do it that way, he's like pretty solid. And he's a combo, and he's going to give you 2 cards. So let's take a look at the lackeys, which means I have to pull this guy down, and the lackey should pop up in 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to look at them on the side here because I can't actually see them. So they're all cost 1 mana, and they're all 1/1s, and each one has a very different ability than the other, ranging from like discover a spell to transform a friendly minion to that costs 1 more to give a friendly minion +1 attack and rush, summon a random 2-cost minion, and then battle cry, deal 2 damage. So all of them, again, have a variety of different things that can be used in different situations. All of them are good in some aspects and bad in others. So it's going to be dependent on obviously what you get when you use the combo, and you get 2 of them. It's going to be random. I don't know which 2 you're going to get. You don't know which 2 you're going to get, but we got to make it work. All right. But as we know, Rogue has always been a huge deck that uses combo abilities to make and trigger effects of their cards. So having 1 mana 1/1s is just in general pretty good for Rogue to have, in the essence of being able to use those to activate the combo abilities of their cards. So as these aren't good normally by themselves, in the Rogue deck, they become much better. So with that, that's actually going to cover all of the cards that have been released thus far. Hopefully you've enjoyed this review. With me not having class, because this is my spring break, I have the time to be able to do a little bit more editing and cool stuff with these videos. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. I'm sorry, like, this is my last 2 semesters of my master's degree. There's going to be some videos that I just don't have the time to do that kind of cool stuff. So I apologize, but I'll do it when I can, and I will. So with that, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think of the new expansion, all of the new cards, and if I happen to miss anything, smack me in the face with your knowledge. So with that, thanks for watching. I'm Robert Warshak, and happy whatever the hell day it is.